Hello, this is Andrew with TVC, and we're going to go over the Yealink phone models with a Nimbus or Pulsar 360 phone system. So the first thing we're going to touch on are the buttons here to the left, these park keys here. So basically what park is, it's a universal hold for the phone system. It is basically a hold that other users on the phone system will have the ability of picking up. So we'll do an example of this on how this would work and when this really is very beneficial to use instead of doing like a standard transfer. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to have a call come in. So now that I'm connected on here, so let's say that I wanted to put this call on park and let James know this call is for him. I'm going to simply press any available park. When a park key is in use, it will be blinking red, so you'll very obviously know that that park key is unavailable. But we'll do park 1. So now that that is selected, the caller, they're going to hear music on hold. It's going to be a very good hold for them. They'll know very obviously that they are waiting for the person they're trying to speak to. So at that point, now that this is lit red, which it will be lit red on all phones on the phone system, I'll simply hit this button here next to the 1, 2. This allows you to toggle between more than one page of button programming. So now that the call would be for James, I would simply press his button or dial his extension. Either one would work, and I would let him know, hey, there is a call on park 1 for you. Please pick up the call, and then he can do so on his phone. And now the call is transferred and was also held. So that is the main purpose of the park keys. So there's that and this call. So the next thing we're going to go over these two buttons here on the right-hand side, call 1 and call 2. So call 1 and call 2 are used for personal holds, a hold that only your extension is capable of picking up. This is good to use if you need to just look something up on the computer really quick, but you don't want to use a park key. Park key is fine as well. If there's plenty of park keys open, you could do so, but we'll show you how the call keys work. Okay, I am going to answer the call. Okay, perfect. So now, as you can see, these 4 buttons below the display, they change with what task the phone is currently doing. They don't stay programmed as one thing. They're basically a dynamic button. They change, if you're on a call, they're now different. If the phone's just sitting at idle, they will be different. So in this case, we're simply going to hit the hold button. And now we see that call 1 is blinking green, letting us know that we have a call held on call 1. If you were to happen to get another call while this call is on hold, you would now be able to answer the call. The call would pop up. You would simply be able to press answer. And if you wanted to put that call on hold, you would just repeat the process. So you would have call 1, and call 2 blinking. And to answer either one of those, to continue it, you would simply press the call key that you want to answer the call on. But in this case, I'm simply just going to hit resume, and now the call has continued. So that is the function of the call keys. Okay, so now below our call key, we have our general mailbox button. Not all extensions will have this general mailbox button, but to go over a brief overview of what it is, a general mailbox is typically used if the main number is called, it rings extensions, and no one answers. It's going to go to a general mailbox because a call was not intended for one person. It's a general message. So that's what this is used for. If a voicemail is in the general mailbox, they'll be lit red, and you can have a general mailbox for different departments, accounting, sales, things like that. So I'll show you how you're going to get in. So I'm going to go ahead and press general mailbox.
Password.
Password in this case is 99600.
You have no.
And away we go.
messages.
Now we are now
Press
in that
2.
mailbox. So in terms of voicemail password, the default password for personal voicemail, general mailbox, it's 99 extension number. So in this case, for my personal extension here, which is 101, it would be 99101 for my personal voicemail. The general mailbox extension number is not going to be known, so you will have to contact TVC to give you that information because there's really no easy way of a user finding out without having to do certain things. So now we'll go through the 4 buttons below the display. Again, these buttons do change with what you're doing, but in most cases, if your phone's just sitting on your desk, they're gonna look like this. They shouldn't change. So we have history, directory, do not disturb, DND, and then the menu. So we'll go through history. So the history is going to be your call history for your extension. It's not gonna show other extensions. Call history is just for you. And as you can see, we're on all calls. So every call that has came into this phone system, that is what we're looking at. And as you can see, it actually shows you even if a feature code was entered. So if we want to filter this a little bit, we're gonna go to the right arrow key. And now we see our missed calls, which there are a couple here. We have our placed calls, received calls, forwarded calls, and that will be all for that list. Moving on to the directory is very similar to having contacts in your cell phone. It just makes it where people you call on a regular basis and you want to contact them very easily without having to always dial their phone number, you're going to go into your directory. I'll show you how that works. So we'll hit directory. We'll do all contacts. And now we'll hit add to add a contact. Simply fill out the information for the caller, their name, phone number, etc. And now you can very easily go into your directory and call them. If you, as a company, you all call very similar people and you want it where everybody has the same directory, if that information is provided, we can upload that configuration to all phones so each person doesn't have to manually enter that in. To the right of that, we have DND, which is do not disturb. Some extensions will not have this button depending on who they are. If they're the receptionist, they're not going to have do not disturb because in that case, anytime do not disturb is enabled, it causes the calls to go directly to voicemail, which is a problem for some users. So to put yourself on do not disturb, simply press do not disturb. It'll pop up right here. To disable it, press it again, and again, calls will go directly to your voicemail when this button is pressed. Now going over the buttons on the right-hand side here, we have the top one here, a mic with a slash through it. This is a mute button. This will mute your voice to the caller. Very useful if you have to ask a coworker something real quick, but you don't want to put them on hold. Below that, we have a icon of a headset. This is for if you have a headset. Not all headsets need this button enabled when you have one, but that will vary upon the model and stuff like that. Below that, this is our personal voicemail button. So we're actually going to go into this so I can show you some of the different recordings you'll have to put in place, how you change your password, stuff like that. So we'll do that now.
Password.
Again, the password for me would be 99101.
You have no messages. Press 2 to change folders. Press 3 for advanced options. Press 0 for mailbox options.
I'm going to press 0 for mailbox options.
Press 1 to record your unavailable message. Press 2 to record your busy message. Press 3 to record your name. Press 4 to record your temporary greeting. Press 5 to change your password. Press star to return to...
Okay, so we heard quite a few different options there in terms of greetings to record. So I'll go over each one and when they come into place and what is the purpose for them to be recorded. So we have the unavailable greeting, which is when your extension is called and you are not available, you don't answer, it's going to play the unavailable greeting. The busy greeting is if your extension is called and you're on the phone, it's going to play the busy greeting. Your name, this comes into play if you have a dial by first name directory, which you definitely want to get that name recorded because that's actually what the system will use to get that call to you with the dial by first name directory. And you can also change your password. Most people can disregard the temporary greeting. There are situations where it is used, but most people are not going to use that and it can cause issues if you don't implement it properly. So that's the voicemail. So now we'll go through how you can do a standard transfer to an extension, not using the park keys. If you are doing a transfer that simply is going to ring the other phone, I do suggest getting used to the park keys. Just sounds better on the caller end, but I'll show you how to transfer the other way. So we'll let a call come in. Go ahead and answer. Okay, so now if I wanted to transfer this call, let's say to James, I can go to page 2 here. If I just wanted to ring his phone, I can actually just simply press his button, and now that call is going to be transferred. But the other way of doing it, and this is actually the more, I would say, preferred way of doing it, that does seem easier, but overall the transfer is better in terms of how likely it is to actually complete properly, is doing it this way. So I'll answer the call. Now what we're going to do, we're actually going to hit transfer, followed by the user, and away we go. Now that call will be transferred. Doing just the button is totally fine, but getting used to actually hitting the transfer button comes into play when you have to transfer to voicemail, if you ever do have to transfer to another user's mailbox, if that's something you actually do. So we'll go through that, how you're going to transfer a call to somebody's voicemail, not ring the phone. So we'll call in. We'll go ahead and answer this call. So now let's say that I wanted to transfer this call to James's voicemail. Again, I'll go to page 2, so I'm where all the users are. You can also enter their extension number. That is totally fine, really up to you, but I'm going to do it with pressing the button. So I'm simply going to hit transfer, star, followed by the user. That will send that call directly to their voicemail. You can also, you don't have to push the button if you want to stay on page 1. If you know the extension numbers for all the users, you can just hit transfer, star, the extension number, and go that way, and it will send that call off. Dialing out, that's the next thing we'll go over here. To dial out on this phone system, you do not need to press a 9 to grab an outside line. It's basically, if it's in the area code, you can dial 7 digits or 11, either one. And if it's outside the area code, you can dial 10 or 11 digits. If you have an issue with a call actually going out, say dialing 10 digits, try 11 and see if the call goes out and report that to TVC so that can be resolved. So when you do call out, I'll do a quick test here. I have 2 options. I can either hit send, but you can also hit pound and it will send that call off. I personally do pound, because it's just, you're already close to that area dialing, and then I'll hit pound to get that call off. Next section we're going to actually go over, because these phones have built-in Wi-Fi capability. And this is very important, especially nowadays where people are taking their phones home to work remote, things like that. And most people don't have a setup at their home where they can hardwire the phone, which is the preferred method. But again, in most cases, people can't do that. And the phone that I'm actually using is connected to Wi-Fi for internet connection. So we're in the menu here. We're gonna scroll down to settings. We'll do basic settings. And most of these settings are automatically configured from our configuration. So you shouldn't have to change the date and time, anything like that. And if you do happen to change it, let's say it's wrong and you notice it and you just want to get that put in there, the configuration might actually get overwritten due to it not matching the server. So just keep that in mind. If you make a change and it reverts when you come back in, just keep that in mind that the server probably overwritten that configuration. So we're going to go down to Wi-Fi. Mine is currently on, so yours would say off in this case. To turn it on, you would click over to on the right arrow here, and now it will enable the Wi-Fi. Once you have it enabled, you're going to scroll down here to available networks. At this point, if you don't see anything listed, you might have to hit scan, and it'll now show you all the available Wi-Fi networks within, that's close to you. Once you scan and you see your SSID, basically your Wi-Fi name, you're going to hit OK, and you will manually enter in your Wi-Fi password. Once you enter it in correctly, you'll have a check mark next to the network name telling you you are connected to your Wi-Fi, you have internet access to your phone. And that is going to do it for the basic training for Yealink phones on a Nimbus or Pulsar 360 phone system, please call TVC at 951-677-4422 if you have any questions or need any configuration updated. Thank you so much.